She was never your peace. She was the test. And you? You were never trained for her, because no one warned you. A woman doesn't come to complete you. She comes to confront you, to expose your weaknesses, to reflect your chaos, to show you, without mercy, what you haven't yet mastered inside yourself. And if you mistake her beauty for safety, you'll bleed, not by her hand, but by your own blindness. Socrates knew, not because he hated women, but because he understood something most men never grasp. The woman is not the goal. She's the gate, and only the man who knows himself can pass through. But you were taught to chase, to win her, woo her, worship her, to mistake validation for value, to trade your center for her smile. And in doing so, you became something less than a man. You became a performer, a pleaser, a prisoner to her reaction. And slowly, almost invisibly, you stopped leading. You started negotiating. You broke your own codes just to keep her close. You ignored the silence in your chest, the part of you that knew, this is not the way. Because here's the unspoken truth. She doesn't want to lead. She tests to see if you can. And when you fail, she doesn't hate you. She loses respect. And once that's gone, love dies quietly, not in shouting, not in betrayal, but in her eyes, when she looks at you and no longer sees the man she wanted to follow. Not because you weren't enough, but because you abandoned yourself trying to be. She didn't ruin you. She revealed you. That ache in your chest, it wasn't heartbreak. It was recognition. A confrontation with the parts of you that were never ready for her. Not because she was too much, but because you were too little. Too little presence. Too little purpose. Too little self-command. She didn't ask for that. She just exposed what was already absent. You see, a woman is not your sanctuary. She is your storm. And every man must decide, will he be the anchor or the debris? Socrates understood. True love begins only after truth is faced. And the first truth a man must confront is that he has no right to lead a woman until he has led himself through fire. But you gave her your words, your affection, your promises, everything except your core. You offered comfort when what she craved was conviction. You offered attention when what she tested was your focus. You tried to be safe, soft, available, when what she needed was a man too centered to chase her chaos. Because here's the paradox. She doesn't want to destroy your order. She wants to trust it. She doesn't want to be your God. She wants to see if you have one. And when you collapse, when you adjust your truth to keep her smile, you think you're saving the love, but you're burying the very thing that made you worthy of it. When a woman goes silent, she's not confused. She's concluded. You think she's distant. You think she needs space. But in truth, she's already buried the version of you she hoped would rise. She tested your frame, your fire, your patience, and not because she wanted to break you, but because she wanted to believe in you. But you failed the test not by being wrong, but by being bendable. You bent to her moods. You twisted your truth to keep the peace. You held her hand while losing your grip on your own spine. And slowly, silently, she withdrew, not to hurt you, but because she saw what you couldn't. You no longer stood for anything, and a man who stands for nothing cannot be followed. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living, but the unexamined man, he is not worth leading, because a woman, a real one, doesn't want a yes man. She doesn't want comfort that costs clarity. She doesn't want attention that's unearned. She doesn't want to be your God, your focus, your religion. She wants to witness your devotion to something bigger than her, your code, your calling, your silence that cannot be seduced. And when she no longer feels that from you, she speaks less. She smiles less. She gives you her body, maybe, but not her respect. And once that's gone, so is she. You think she left you, but she didn't. She left the man she once saw in you, the one you abandoned first. And that's the truth most men refuse to face. You mourn the breakup. You blame her distance. But the real death happened long before she walked away. It happened when you stopped leading yourself, when you let comfort replace clarity, when you traded your vision for validation. And she watched it happen, quietly, slowly, painfully, because no woman wants to leave a man she once admired. But once the respect dies, she has no choice. She'll still smile. She'll still lay beside you. She might even say, "I love you." But deep down, she's already gone. And that's what burns. Not that she left, but that she stayed long enough to watch you fall and couldn't stop it. You thought love meant safety. She thought love meant strength. And when you chose peace over power, approval over purpose, comfort over calling, she knew you were no longer the man worth following. Socrates would have called it betrayal, not hers, yours, because you betrayed your essence just to be accepted. You lost your sovereignty to maintain a connection that no longer respected you. And she didn't punish you. She simply mirrored your fall by withdrawing her fire. Because a woman doesn't owe you loyalty to the weaker version of yourself. Part 5. She never wanted your affection. She wanted your authority. Not the kind that controls, but the kind that commands itself. She didn't fall in love with your softness. She fell in love with your structure, the way you moved with direction, the way your words were few but final, the way your silence didn't ask for approval but spoke of a mind at war with itself and winning. But the moment you softened for her, you lost her, not because she stopped loving you, but because you stopped leading you. You made her the goal, the center, the reward, and a woman, a real one, cannot respect a man who orbits her. She tests you, not because she's cruel, but because she wants to feel your edge and know it's unshakable. She needs to feel your presence as a wall, not a sponge. And every time you compromise, every time you prioritize her feelings over your structure, every time you choose harmony over hierarchy, she feels it. The collapse, the shift, the quiet death of command. And she pulls away, not because she wants to, but because her body cannot follow a man who's forgotten how to stand. Socrates said, "To find yourself, think for yourself." But you stopped thinking. You started asking, "Is this okay? Do you still love me? Are you happy?" And with every question, you chipped away at the very presence that once made her melt. She didn't want the answers. She wanted the man who never needed to ask. You don't rise to chase her again. You rise to reclaim the man she forgot you could be. But this time, you're not softer. You're sharper, not more loving, more limited. You rebuild not to impress her, but to protect the flame she once admired, before you let it die to keep her warm. Now, your standards are walls. Your time is sacred. Your words are few, because your actions are loud. And she sees it. At first, she thinks it's distance. She calls it cold, but it's not. It's discipline. Because now you know, a woman's love is never stronger than a man's sense of self. And any love that asks you to dilute your mission is not love. It's a leash. You don't explain that anymore. You don't ask her to understand. You let her feel it. You let her feel the cost of losing access to a man who walks with fire again. Socrates would say, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." And now, you know. You knew nothing about boundaries, nothing about masculine energy, nothing about what makes a woman stay. You thought it was attention. You thought it was sweetness. You thought it was showing her the parts of you that bent for her comfort. But what keeps her is the man who won't bend, who won't explain, who won't lose himself just to make her feel safe. Now she comes different, quieter, softer, watching, testing again. But you're not performing this time, because you've already chosen your power over her praise. Now she watches you, not with control, but with curiosity. She senses the shift. You're no longer reaching. You're no longer explaining. You're no longer asking her to understand your silence. You let your silence speak for itself. And that changes everything. Because now, for the first time, she feels the gravity of your presence. Not because you pulled her, but because you stopped pulling. You're not detached. You're directed. Not unavailable. Just uninterested in performing. She starts to ask herself the questions you used to ask her. Am I enough for him? Is he still here? Do I still have access? But you don't play games. You just sit still. And stillness is terrifying to anyone used to controlling men through emotion. Because now she sees the power she once tested is no longer available to manipulate. She can't guilt you. She can't shake you. She can't seduce you back into softness. Not because you don't feel, but because you've mastered the fire without needing her to fan it. And this is what she was waiting for all along. Not a man who bends, but a man who chooses with precision. A man who can love her deeply, but leave without hesitation if her presence threatens his structure. Socrates didn't hate women. He simply knew a woman cannot truly respect a man who fears her more than he fears losing himself. Now, you fear nothing. And because of that, she finally trusts you. She returns, not with apologies, not with tears, but with caution. Because now, you are not who you were, and she feels it. Your eyes are quieter, your body still, your words sharper, fewer, measured like a blade. You don't rush to embrace. You don't open the gate just because she knocks, because this time You are the gatekeeper. And before she enters, you ask yourself, is she still the same woman? Is she walking in truth, or just reacting to your absence? Is she aligned with the path, or addicted to the power shift? Because you've seen it before. A woman doesn't always return because she's grown. Sometimes she returns because you have. And she wants a seat next to a throne she never helped build. But now, you're not seduced by beauty. You're not swayed by memory. You're not led by desire. You're led by principle. And your principle is clear. A woman must earn access, not through words, but through reflection, behavior, stillness, respect. You observe her. You test her, not with games, but with time. You let her feel your standard without ever needing to say it. And she either rises to meet it or fades into the past, like all those who underestimated your becoming. Socrates said, "Be as you wish to seem." Now you don't just seem powerful, you are. And with that power comes the final question. Will she walk beside you as a queen, or will you walk alone as a king, untouched by noise? She waits for your answer, but you're not answering her. You're answering your legacy. Because this isn't just about her. It's about you, the man you've become, and the man you refuse to lose again. Does she match the rhythm of your growth, or does she threaten its direction? Does her return feel like alignment, or nostalgia, respect, or strategy? Because men like you don't choose based on how much you miss her. You choose based on whether your purpose accelerates or stalls in her presence. And if you hesitate, you already know the answer. This isn't punishment, it's precision. Because now you've learned your life is not a home for anyone who drains your edge. And your heart, it's not a refuge for someone who couldn't hold space when you were becoming. You don't hate her. You don't resent her. You just see clearly now. And that clarity, it's colder than revenge and sharper than regret. It doesn't shout. It whispers, "She no longer fits." Socrates taught, "Know thyself." And now you do. You know your limits, your calling, your discipline, your worth. You know that love without respect is a prison, that beauty without alignment is a trap, that softness without structure is death. So you choose not her, yourself. And in that choice, you don't lose her. You reclaim the man who never should have been compromised to keep her. You walk away, not to punish her, not to make her chase, but because the man you are now refuses to trade his crown for chemistry. You don't need closure. You don't need her to understand, because your clarity is your compass now, and it points only forward. She may cry. She may apologize. She may even mean it. But you don't bend anymore, not because you're heartless, but because your heart has been reforged in fire, and it no longer opens for anything less than reverence. This isn't arrogance. It's alignment. You've earned your silence. You've earned your edge. You've earned the right to demand what you became. And if that means walking alone, so be it. Because men like you don't fear solitude. They're sharpened by it. Socrates would smile, not because you mastered love, but because you mastered yourself. And the man who masters himself, he doesn't attract women. He attracts queens, not the ones who test from insecurity, but the ones who challenge from sovereignty, not the ones who need saving, but the ones who can walk beside your fire without asking you to dim it. Now, your mission is clear. Your frame is firm. Your presence is a filter. And from this place, you don't chase. You don't compromise. You don't explain. You simply exist, loudly, fully, unapologetically. And if the right woman crosses your path, she won't beg for space in your life. She'll move with you. Not behind you, not ahead of you, but right beside you. And if she never comes, you're still complete. Because the man who walks in truth never walks alone.